Hey everybody, happy Monday to you, or whenever you're choosing to watch this. I thought I'd come on this morning and talk a little bit about the idea of this automation versus empathy issue that we're currently experiencing across the web. But in particular, it was brought to my attention this week by a tweet that went viral a week or so ago from a guy called Austin Petersmith. Here is the tweet. And it was on the subject of Calendly. I'm sure many of you use Calendly or similar type products. And he did something quite funny here, if I can try and make it show you it. While we're on the topic of Calendly, about once a month, I use the Calendly links from salespeople who are emailing me non-stop and book them calls with each other. And as you can see, this went like semi-viral with quite a lot of likes and retweets. And so much so that Austin's tweet has actually ended up in an article that I can't show you because of paywall purposes. But in this article in the Wall Street Journal about the best 5 scheduling tools and etiquette for planning meetings. And it got me thinking about this whole problem of things like Calendly links. Google this week have been rolling out a feature that actually they've kind of had for a long time in a badly old UI from previous versions of Gmail. Their appointment scheduling tool, which allows you to essentially do exactly what you imagine it sounds like, which is look at somebody's, set up these dictated slots for meeting appointments, and then create a link for that and then send that out to people so that they can basically create this in an appointment schedule, and you can kind of fill in the blocks, so to speak. Here other options that compare this. That I'll pop this Wired article in the chat. And I wanted to talk about this because I think this is a bigger issue than maybe just the problem we have with Calendly and tools like it, which is basically a kind of empathy problem. Ultimately, technology there is supposed to help us get things done and be more efficient, and efficiency is great. Automation is often the way of we getting that efficiency. But automation and efficiency often have one big detrimental problem. And that problem is empathy. Often when we automate something, we take the humanness out of it. That's kind of the whole point, right? You automate something, it's automatic. And you take the human-to-human element out of it. And by doing so, often you can end up making things, well, kind of better in one way, often better for you, but often worse for someone else. And this is brought to light particularly with this issue around appointment scheduling, as we all spend more and more time thinking about how do we manage our calendars. Right, so let's have a think about some of the principles here. It reminds me of something that I read in a book. I'm going to find the book. There's this book that I'm sure many of you come across. I've lost the dust jacket for it. It's called The Empathy Instinct. Sorry, let's use camera 2. The Empathy Instinct by Peter Bazzagetti. Really good book, all about this idea of empathy in the modern world, and particularly when it comes to using things like technology. And in it, he has this charter for empathy at the end of the book. And one of the things that he has in the charter is this quote, hopefully you can see that, is that at the threshold of the artificial intelligence age, we need the reaffirmation of the empathy instinct and the supremacy of the human spirit. Basically saying is that as we kind of have more AI enter into the world, we need to reaffirm humanity's kind of natural instinct for empathy, our natural ability to look for one another and see each other as humans, and really kind of power into this human spirit. And the thing is that often with these automation tools, and particularly for things like this Google appointment scheduling thing and calendars in general, they are kind of representations of the real world, but they're not actually the real world, are they? That's kind of the problem. And so we end up, oh, hang on, we've got some calendar inception kind of going on here. And so we end up with this problem a lot. Here's another example. Just this past week or so, this is Eric shout out from VoiceBot doing this article about the stop command that Google allows you to do. So if you've got an alarm basically kind of going off on one of your Google speakers, you no longer have to say the words, hey, and enter the G word, so I don't set one off in here. You can just literally just say stop. You can just yell the word stop at your alarm bleeping at you, which again is helpful. It kind of cuts down just a couple of words on that process. But I think arguably isn't as nice a thing to be yelling around your house. Again, it takes away the humanity of it. Now, you're talking to, oh, hang on. Got some real camera issues going on today with focusing. Focus. Focus. Hold the line, please, caller. Okay, there you go. I'm getting over the COVID from last week. So we have some issues with focus here, and we have some issues with empathy, as I explained, because one of the problems that you get with problems like this, of this Calendly sharing thing, is that the more of us that begin to start yelling at our technology or start using these Calendly links, and I'm sure you get them as much as I do, people kind of basically saying is that what we end up doing is flattening our world quite a bit, flattening our world view often into little blocks on a piece of paper, or in this case, little blocks now on a screen. And all of those blocks have equal and weighted value. And so what's happening when you're sending a link like this to somebody is basically saying, take your pick, my time is equal, all time is relative, just find a slot. And of course that's not true, is it? Our time isn't relatively equal. Some of our time is more important than others. We're better at different times of the day. We're better in certain frequencies than 15 minutes or 30 minutes or an hour. Some of us perform at different capabilities and capacities at those different formats. And what these tools do is they often flatten that down. So I'm kind of with Austin here on this whole tweet, even though he kind of blew up a storm about it, is that sometimes, give people a taste of their own medicine. Is, if you're getting these very generic emails often being asked for a generic meeting slot, then funnily enough, you're going to get quite a generic response. And most of those meetings probably are going to be quite generic in nature. So have a think about it. I'd love your opinions on this. Do these types of tools really help us? Do they actually end up helping get things done? In my experience, I end up booking them and having to rebook them and rebook them and rebook them because people's calendars don't really reflect those little 15-minute blocks available on the page. Is this something you would want to use? Do you advocate using it more? Let me know in the comments below. I would love your thoughts on it. Or is it something that's basically just making our lives actually not a lot better and potentially a little bit more flat and meaningless? And maybe we need more of this empathy instinct. The Empathy Instinct is what I would go for. Very good book. Highly recommend it if you're interested in this subject. Okay, that's all for now. Hope you have a very happy Monday and the rest of your week and have some good meetings. Take care.